Welcome to the Business English Podcast, and welcome to the third and final episode in our series on negotiation. In our previous two episodes, we have discussed how to start a negotiation effectively and how to continue a negotiation successfully, which neatly brings us into today's episode, where we'll be focusing on a crucial part of negotiation that is often overlooked: how to end a negotiation professionally. Ending a negotiation in the right way can have a significant impact on your future interactions with the other party, whether it's a business partner, a colleague, or a client. It can also leave a lasting impression on your reputation and the overall success of the negotiation. In this episode, we'll start by exploring some general best practices for ending a negotiation in a professional manner. We'll then be looking at a number of phrases for you to use when closing down that negotiation. After that, we will move on to discuss appropriate ways to follow up after the negotiation has ended. And lastly, and perhaps most importantly, we'll also provide some tips on how to maintain positive relationships with the other party, even if the negotiation didn't result in a favorable outcome. Too often do negotiations break down and fizzle out with neither party carrying out the necessary follow-on actions in order to pursue a successful resolution. So do stick around for this section to ensure that you are fully prepared for any eventuality in what can be the most defining moments of your professional experience. Now, with the table laid and the menu clear, let us pause for a moment for our customary musical number. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Business English Podcast, helping professionals communicate more effectively, more confidently, and with impact. With your host, Rob, from Energetic English. Let's get down to business. So, as we have previously mentioned, we will be starting today's episode with some best practices for ending a negotiation in a professional manner. These are some general behaviors that should be incorporated into your repertoire to ensure a clean and professional close to your negotiation. So, 1. Recap the agreement. Before ending the negotiation, summarize the agreement you have reached. This will help to ensure that both parties have a clear understanding of what has been agreed upon. We will discuss a few phrases in just a moment to help with this. 2. Confirm the next steps. Make sure that both parties are clear on what happens next. This could include signing a contract, scheduling a follow-up meeting, or exchanging contact information. 3. Show appreciation. Express gratitude for the other party's time, effort, and willingness to negotiate. This will help to maintain a positive relationship and set the stage for future collaborations. We'll also be looking at a number of phrases to express appreciation to in just a few moments. 4. Follow up. After the negotiation, send a follow-up email or letter thanking the other party for their participation and confirming the details of the agreement. More on this later in the episode. And 5, finally, for all professionals, evaluate the negotiation. Take some time to reflect on the negotiation and evaluate your performance. Think about what went well, what could have been improved, and what you have learned from the experience. This will help you to improve your negotiation skills and prepare for all your future negotiations. Taking into account these 5 steps at the end of your negotiation will help you perform at your very best and leave the right lasting impression as a professional. Right, with those general best practices covered, let's look at something more specific. Let us now turn our attention to the phrases we can use when ending a negotiation professionally. In this section, we will be looking at 10 phrases you can use to end a negotiation professionally. Now, as previously mentioned, we need a number of phrases at the end of the negotiation to perform a number of these best practices we've just been speaking about, including finalizing details, understanding next steps, and showing appreciation. So here are 10 phrases to help you do just that. And as ever, I will be repeating the phrases twice before leaving the magic pause for you to drill, note down, or nod off in order for you to use it to best effect. It's there for you. Okay, here are 10 phrases for closing a negotiation professionally. 1. Thank you for your time today. I think we've reached a mutually beneficial agreement. Thank you for your time today. I think we've reached a mutually beneficial agreement. 2. Let's finalize the details and move forward with the agreement. Let's finalize the details and move forward with the agreement. 3. I'm glad we were able to come to an agreement that works for both parties. I'm glad we were able to come to an agreement that works for both parties. 4. It was a pleasure negotiating with you. I look forward to working together in the future. It was a pleasure negotiating with you. I look forward to working together in the future. 5. Can we schedule a follow-up meeting to finalize the details and sign the agreement? Can we schedule a follow-up meeting to finalize the details and sign the agreement? 6. I think we've covered everything we needed to discuss. Are there any final questions or concerns before we close? I think we've covered everything we needed to discuss. Are there any final questions or concerns before we close? 7. It's been a productive negotiation. I'm confident that this agreement will benefit both our organizations. It's been a productive negotiation. I'm confident that this agreement will benefit both our organizations. 8. I appreciate your willingness to negotiate with us. I think we've reached a good agreement. I appreciate your willingness to negotiate with us. I think we've reached a good agreement. 9. Let's summarize the terms of the agreement and make sure we're both in agreement before we close. Let's summarize the terms of the agreement and make sure we're both in agreement before we close. 10. We've made significant progress today. I think it's time to finalize the agreement and move forward with our business relationship. We've made significant progress today. I think it's time to finalize the agreement and move forward with our business relationship. With these 10 phrases, you will be able to bring your negotiation to a neat and professional close, whilst adhering to the best practices we mentioned in the previous section. Ensure that you remember at least one of these phrases to use when you really need it. Or, if you're feeling really adventurous, try and combine a number of them together into a smooth piece of dialogue to really show off your linguistic and professional skills. As mentioned during the first section regarding best practices, following up after a negotiation can be an essential part of maintaining a positive relationship with the other party, regardless of the outcome. So here are some appropriate ways to follow up after a negotiation has ended. There are 4 items. 1. Send a thank you note. Whether the negotiation was successful or not, it's always appropriate to send a thank you note to the other party. It's a simple gesture that can go a long way in building a positive relationship. Be sure to thank them for their time, their efforts, and their willingness to engage in the negotiation process. This, of course, can be in the form of a letter or email. The way you do it is up to you, but make sure that it is fitting and in line with the tone of the negotiation. 2. Where appropriate, confirm the agreements that have been reached. If you've reached any agreements during the negotiation, it's important to confirm them in writing. This ensures that everyone is on the same page and understands the terms of the agreement. You can send an email summarizing the agreements and ask the other party to confirm that they agree. This is an important tip. Having that written confirmation from the other party ensures that everybody remains on the same page. I believe we have all been in that position where we felt like we've sent an email into a black hole, never to be seen or answered again. 3. Follow up on any action items. If there were any action items that were assigned during the negotiation, be sure to follow up on them. You can send an email to the other party reminding them of the action items and ask them for an update on their progress. In addition to these items, ensure that they are coupled with a clearly defined timeline or deadline. An action item without a deadline is just asking for trouble. 4. Schedule a follow-up meeting. If there were any unresolved issues during the negotiation, or if there's a need to revisit the negotiation in the future, it may be appropriate to schedule a follow-up meeting. This shows that you are committed to finding a mutually beneficial solution and can help maintain a positive relationship with the other party. Essentially, following up after a negotiation can help solidify the agreements reached, maintain positive relationships, and ensure that any unresolved issues are addressed in a timely manner. Great. And whilst our wish is that our negotiations end in a positive manner, the reality is that despite our very best efforts, we may not be so successful. So in this section, we will be talking about a few specific things that you can do to maintain positive relationships with the other party after a negotiation, even if it didn't result in a favourable outcome. This is crucial for future business interactions, not to mention your professional integrity. So, here are some tips on how to maintain positive relationships with the other party. 1. Stay professional and courteous. It's essential to remain professional and courteous even if the negotiation didn't result in the outcome you desired. Avoid showing any negative emotions and instead focus on maintaining a positive and respectful tone. I appreciate this can be difficult, especially in the face of a frustrating outcome. But remember to use the phrases from earlier on in this episode and in the wider negotiation series to help you. 2. Show appreciation for their efforts. Even if the negotiation didn't result in a favourable outcome, it's important to acknowledge the other party's efforts and contributions. Express your appreciation for their time and willingness to engage in the negotiation process. Again, the phrases from earlier on in this episode can help with this. 3. Look for opportunities for future collaboration. While the current negotiation may not have resulted in a favourable outcome, there may still be opportunity for future collaboration. Look for areas of common interest and explore potential future projects that could be of benefit to both parties. Identifying these overlaps throughout the negotiation can play a key role not just in future collaborations, but also in giving away clues as to which way to successfully steer a negotiation to a positive end. 4. Follow up with them regularly. Stay in touch with the party, even if it's just to say hello or check in on their business. This can help maintain a positive relationship and keep the lines of communication open for future opportunities. 5. Learn from experience. As we have said before, take the time to reflect on the negotiation process and identify areas where you could have improved. Use this experience as a learning opportunity to improve your negotiation skills for future interactions. Now, in summary, maintaining positive relationships with the other party after a negotiation, even if it didn't result in a favourable outcome, requires professionalism, appreciation, and a focus on future collaboration. By following these tips we've just mentioned, you can ensure that the negotiation process doesn't harm the relationship between you and the other party. That concludes this episode on how to end a negotiation professionally and brings us to the end of our wider series on negotiation. In this series, we have covered the entire journey of negotiation, highlighting what you can say at each crucial point and helping you to avoid some of the less favourable phrases. We have also underpinned this series with several sections of advice to keep you on track through the trickier elements of negotiation. That just leaves me to remind you that the individual or individuals you are negotiating with are humans too, solving problems through the use of empathy and true understanding, in addition to the right style and tone of your business English, will always result in a more favourable outcome than ignorance and the use of generic phrases. Use the knowledge in this series to best effect by going back over and practicing all the phrases and techniques highlighted so they are more readily available when you need them. For as we all know, when the pressure is on, the mind clouds, and we all just wish we'd practiced a little bit longer. As they say, train hard, fight easy. We'll see you next time. Good luck. You have been listening to the Business English Podcast. Remember to subscribe, leave a review, and we'll see you next time.